Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to take your source material, no matter how complex, and really pull out the strategic knowledge you need fast.
And today, we've got a fascinating mix, actually. We're looking at corporate resource management, specifically getting help, and also the everyday skill of asking for assistance. Two sides of the same coin, sort of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have two main sources today. One is this workplace dialogue. It's about asking the boss for an assistant.
Right, the politics of that. And the other is a really broad guide on communication, focusing on the etiquette, the best way to ask for help in pretty much any situation you can think of.
So our goal here is simple. Unpack the really useful language, the high-value vocabulary, and the practical techniques from both.
Yeah, so by the end, you should feel more confident negotiating for resources at work and maybe just getting directions when you're lost somewhere new.
Okay, let's jump in. Part one is the office deep dive. Resources and risk. We start with that scene.
Hmm.
The employee, Tony, asks his boss for an assistant.
Right. And the boss's reaction is, well, pretty typical. He immediately pushes back with three main reasons for saying no. The sources actually break these down quite clearly.
Yeah, they're like the classic corporate defenses. The first one is lack of resources.
Which, let's be honest, in this context, the source says it flat out means lack of money. Simple as that. The budget just isn't there for another salary.
That's the baseline refusal, isn't it? Then if it's not just money, the boss might say they're understaffed.
Which sounds like, oh, so we should hire someone. But no, here it's used more as a description of the current problem.
Right. It just means we don't have enough people for the work we already have. It
Right.
kind of acknowledges the pain, but doesn't offer the cure.
Exactly. And the third reason, this one's often the trickiest, the timing is just not right.
Ah, the external factors excuse.
Precisely. It's about the wider economy being bad or the risk of adding permanent costs when things feel uncertain. It's often a way to delay things.
So if you're Tony in this situation, you really need to communicate the pressure you're under. The dialogue gives some great idiomatic phrases for this.
Yeah, like asking for help to take the weight off my shoulders. It's a very visual way of saying you need relief from the pressure.
Or it's just the simple classic, give me a hand. Not literally, obviously, but just meaning help me out.
And underpinning all of this, especially in a company setting, is that constant drive to keep our costs down.
That's the mantra, isn't it?
Hmm.
The source even mentions small examples like watching how much people print.
Yeah, right down to the toner. It shows how management thinks about cost control at every level.
Okay, so that brings us nicely to Tony's next move. He gets the pushback, so he pivots. He proposes hiring an intern.
Which is smart. It directly addresses the cost issue. An intern, as the source defines it, is usually a student or maybe a recent grad.
Right, someone working for very little pay, sometimes even no pay at all.
The trade-off being they get experience, they learn things. It's explicitly about gaining that practical knowledge.
And the sources are pretty candid about what interns might do, making coffee, lots of photocopying. The less glamorous stuff sometimes.
Sure, but it stresses that crucial foot in the door aspect. That's the real value for the intern.
Absolutely. And there's an upside for the company, too, beyond just cheap labor. The sources mention that good interns often get hired permanently.
It acts like a low-risk trial period for the company, doesn't it? They get to see the person in action before committing to a full salary.
I have to jump in here because, honestly, that's
Wait.
exactly what happened to me years ago. Started as an intern, did about 3 months of, like, a lot of photocopying.
Oh, yeah.
And then they offered me a proper job. So it really does happen. That strategy works.
That's a perfect example. Now here's where the story in the source takes a bit of an unexpected turn. Tony gets approval for the intern.
Right. And the boss brings the new hire in. But during the whole discussion, Tony kept referring to the potential assistant as she.
Yeah, just sort of assuming it would be a woman, which, reflects a common bias, maybe unconscious, about who does those kinds of roles.
But then the door opens, and the new assistant is Adam.
And Tony's visibly surprised. The commentary in the source material really highlighted this moment.
It suggested he was definitely expecting a female intern. A bit of a sexist assumption, perhaps.
Possibly, or at least an unconscious bias. It's a little jolt in the narrative, a reminder about assumptions, even when you're focused on, pure business strategy.
That's actually a great transition point. Because talking about assumptions and self-awareness, let's shift gears from the office politics to the broader lessons here. How these ideas of clarity and awareness apply basically anytime we need help. This is part 3, the universal skill.
Yeah, we need to think beyond just please and thank you, though those are crucial. The core rule from the communication guide is that politeness and clarity aren't just nice to haves, they're strategic.
Strategic assets.
Okay.
People are generally happy to help, it says, if you make it easy for them and show respect.
Right. So how do you do that right from the start? Use clear, simple openers. Excuse me, it works universally. Or, can you help me, please? Adding that please up front really sets the tone.
And the follow-up is just as important. Basic manners, yes, but strategically vital. Always show gratitude afterwards, thank you. Or, I appreciate it.
It reinforces the positive interaction, makes that person more likely to help again in the future. It builds a little bit of goodwill.
Okay, now let's talk specificity. This feels really key. Vague requests are just annoying, aren't they?
They're inefficient. Instead of just saying, my phone's broken, help, which makes the other person have to figure out the problem.
You need to be specific about what you need them to do.
Exactly. If it's instructions, ask. Could you please show me how to use this machine? Be direct about the help required. It saves everyone time and effort.
The sources also emphasize nonverbal stuff. Your tone of voice, your body language. It's not just what you say.
Absolutely. Speak clearly, use a calm tone. If you sound rushed or angry, people might back off.
Right. It suggests you're maybe stressed or demanding.
Yeah, and simple things like making a bit of eye contact, having open body language, it signals you're being polite and collaborative, not making a demand.
That difference between a request and a demand seems central here. Okay, let's get into part 4. Adapting. How you change your approach based on who you're talking to and the situation.
Yeah, context is everything. The sources make a clear split between formal and informal situations.
So talking to strangers, or maybe in a more formal setting like a business reception, or asking for directions in a city you don't know.
You need to use more formal language. The classic opener is, excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you.
That little apology up front kind of softens the interruption, doesn't it?
It does. It acknowledges you're taking their time. Now, contrast that with asking friends or family for help.
Much more casual, right? You
Oh.
can just say, hey, can you help me with this box?
Exactly. Simpler is fine, but, and this is important, the politeness still matters. You still need the please and thanks, even with people you know well. It maintains respect.
Okay, what about managing time? Like if the person you need help from is already busy.
Patience is key. The advice is clear. Wait until they're free, if possible. Don't just interrupt mid-conversation or mid-task.
And then when they are free.
A polite opener like, excuse me, when you have a moment, could I ask for your help? Or simply, excuse me, can I ask for your help?
What if it's actually urgent? You can't wait.
Then you signal that urgency up front. I'm sorry to bother you, but this is urgent. Can you help me, please? You justify the interruption by stating the need.
And then there are real emergencies fire. Someone's hurt.
Formality goes out the window then, obviously. Clarity and speed are what matter. Help! Call an ambulance. Just get the essential information out fast. The social rules adapt to the severity.
Another really practical point was about unclear answers. What if someone tries to help but you don't understand their instructions?
Don't just nod and walk away confused. The sources strongly advise asking follow-up questions. It shows you're actually listening and trying to get it right.
So instead of pretending you understood the directions, you ask, okay, how far should I go straight?
Or, sorry, could you explain that bit again, please? It's not admitting weakness. It's making sure the help you got is actually useful.
Yeah, maximizing the value. Good point. And finally, what about when someone offers you help unexpectedly, like they see you struggling with bags or looking lost?
You still need to respond clearly and politely. If you want the help, oh, yes, please, thank you so much.
And if you don't need it?
A polite decline. That's very kind, thank you, but I think I'm okay. Or just, thank you, but I'm all right. Either way, acknowledge the offer politely.
Okay, so pulling all this together, what's the big takeaway for you, the listener? We've gone from corporate budget defenses and intern strategies all the way to asking for directions.
It seems the common thread is that effective communication, getting what you need, really boils down to a few key things. Being aware of the situation, being clear about what you need, and always, always showing politeness and gratitude.
It's a skill set that works everywhere, doesn't it? Negotiating a raise or just trying to find the bread aisle in the supermarket.
Exactly. And the sources finish on a really interesting note, didn't they? About communication being a two-way process.
Right. It wasn't just about getting help, but also about offering it in return, building those positive connections.
Which leads to a final thought, maybe a challenge for you listening. The next time someone helps you out, think about how you thank them.
Go beyond just the simple thanks.
Yeah. Maybe try to actively build that bridge, that sense of reciprocity. You could actually say something like, "Thank you so much for your help. Seriously, let me know if you ever need anything."
Turning that simple thank you into like a relationship building moment.
Exactly. It's a small linguistic shift, but it could have a pretty powerful long-term impact on your network, both professionally and personally.
A fantastic point to end on. Making that commitment costs nothing, but potentially builds a lot.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, that wraps up this deep dive. We hope you feel better equipped now to ask for, well, pretty much anything you need, clearly and effectively.